It's the show the establishment warned you about.
Yes, it is. It's a Dr. Tommy Show, broadcasting live from the free state of Florida. I am your host, Dr. Tommy McElroy, and this is...
Hi, I'm Tracy.
Tracy is the other host, and we are back here today and enjoying this cool weather we have in Florida down here in the free state. Got a lot to talk about today. Most of it's got to do with vaccine stuff, and some of it's got to do with this baby that was handed over the wall in Taliban, or to the Taliban. I'm sorry, to the soldiers in Afghanistan, and ended up, I guess, changing hands to the Taliban. Anyway, so if you were not watching the news yesterday, you may have not heard, but most of you probably have heard that the Supreme Court has struck down the OSHA mandate for the vaccination requirement for companies over 100.
It's good news.
But they upheld the CMS mandate.
Right. So if you are a company that accepts Medicare and Medicaid payments, then you are required. They can require you to get your vaccine.
I don't know. I'll tell you what I did.
Except for in the state of Florida.
It's so confusing. Is you have these states' rules and the federal rules, and then they say if it's a federally funded, but that to me that means like it's like the federal government runs it, not necessarily that. Like, let's say we took Medicare, which we don't. We would not be federally funded. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what the real upshot of all that is.
Right, but if you take payments from Medicare, Medicaid,
Are you required now to still be vaccinated? Would that be the case? Because if that's the case, then
I know that in the state of Florida, Governor DeSantis has said that that companies cannot do that, mandate it. But you would think the Supreme Court would have the ultimate say, right?
Yeah, well, it would come down to whether it's a federal law or a state law, and which takes precedent. And in some cases, the Constitution has limited. Constitutionally, the federal government is supposed to be very limited in what they can do. When it was designed, that's the way it was designed. And then later on, we started adding all these things like the Commerce Clause and all these other clauses that now we are able to use, we meaning everybody, not me necessarily, but people use to tie together things that aren't necessarily what, like for instance, under the Constitution, under the Commerce Clause, if you are a farmer in Kansas, you cannot sell your crop individually without being regulated by the state, because your little bit of crop that you have from your farm impacts interstate commerce. Therefore, it falls under the purview of the government, the federal government. So I don't know what that. Basically, I don't know what the. Anyway, the two swingers on the court. Kavanaugh and Roberts swung to the left, and then they supported the CMS mandate. And then for the OSHA mandate, they swung back to the right, and they supported banning the mandate for large businesses over 100 people.
Does that make sense to you, though? Why ban it for large businesses and then...
And not small businesses?
Yeah.
The only reason they did that is because small businesses would complain that we're going to lose employees. And then they say, well, big businesses, they can absorb it.
Well, big businesses cannot absorb it. We know that because we've seen hospitals change their mind.
Yeah.
Due to the lack of employees
they didn't state that, but that's my assumption, is they knew politically it would be harder for them to. Now, that's not to say if this went through that they would not come around the next time and force small businesses too. I'm sure that was like, stage 2. Usually when you're, trying to take over something, you don't stop at your first goal. You keep going and going. So that may have been their second goal.
Well, I don't know. I know that hospitals have fallen back on requiring the vaccine because of the staffing issues.
The vaccine, some of us out here were not aware of this, but now Bill Gates has spoken. And the vaccine, according to Bill Gates, this is quite shocking. This is from the Blaze. It says, Bill Gates says COVID-19 vaccines, quote, still allow infections, and their, quote, duration appears to be limited. Wow. Bill Gates. Dr. Gates, I mean, none of us knew that beforehand. None of us even thought about that. Thank God Bill Gates is there.
I had no idea.
It says, when asked what sort of advancement would help end the coronavirus pandemic, ultra-wealthy Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates noted that people who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 can still catch the illness, and that the vaccines seem to be limited in their longevity.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that millions of people already knew that because they're vaccinated and they've had COVID. And
then that's why a lot of people didn't want to be a mandate. I mean, but so if Bill Gates thinks it, then suddenly it's okay. It's okay to print. This same thing, I don't know who is talking to here, Bill Gates, but this same thing, if he was not Bill Gates, and if he had said this on Twitter, for instance, and if he was not of the right persuasion, he would have been banned.
Yeah, he did
for
tweet
misinformation.
Apparently, he did tweet that, though, right?
Yeah, so here he is. He's tweeting this. This is the same stuff that Alex Berenson was banned from Twitter for, and actually has a lawsuit now. It's so funny that the things that we think about now, if you wait long enough, a lot of times the truth comes out.
In due time, it does.
Yes. He says the vaccines we have prevent severe disease and death very well, but they are missing two key things. First, they still allow infections, quote, breakthrough, and the duration appears to be limited. We need vaccines that prevent reinfection and have many years of durations. Well, no crap, because that's what most people wanted, and that's why they didn't get the vaccine, because they didn't think it did necessarily what you have now come to realization that it doesn't do.
Right. We figured that. I mean, we figured it anyway.
From
From the very beginning, we felt like COVID vaccine is going to most likely be like the flu vaccine.
Right, and which is now what they're saying.
Right. Every year
so
you're going to get right.
Back to the whole point. All this turmoil they caused, people losing their jobs, people having stress about losing their jobs, people, wondering what's going to happen. All that was for nothing because now Bill Gates has spoke. Bill Gates has let us know now it's okay. It's okay, according to Bill Gates, to question the vaccine efficacy. Whereas before, like I said, you would have been banned from private or from a polite company. Back to the vaccine. This is kind of interesting. This is from The Blaze as well. It says, Canadian lawyer hospitalized for vaccine-related heart ailment. Quote, I accept my role as collateral damage for the vaccine rollout. He even got a booster.
This is the lawyer that ended up with pericarditis.
Right. It says, this is Adam Goodman, a Toronto-based lawyer. At a medical checkup, it revealed that the muscle pain that he had been experiencing in his neck and in his chest was actually pericarditis. This was after he got his second Pfizer shot. Pericarditis, inflammation of the lining around the heart, and, quote, one of the two potential significant side effects associated with mRNA vaccines, he said. The other significant side effect is myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart itself, Goodman wrote. But he could not be dissuaded.
Right.
So he goes, because I thought I was experiencing muscle pain, I let the pericarditis go too long without treatment. Brave man. As a result, I experienced a dangerous squeezing of the heart called tamponade. Now, that's not just necessarily dangerous squeezing of the heart. That's like you're about to die. Mm-hmm. Tamponade is like you're going to die. That next step is you're dying. I spent 5 days in the hospital recovering with the help of a crack team of cardiologists, nurses, and pharmacists, blah, blah, blah. Heavy dose of anti-inflammatory drugs. And then he says, I accept my role as collateral damage of the vaccine rollout, he added in his op-ed. Previous generations were asked to undertake far greater risks for the protection of society, including being drafted for war. The vaccines are our civic duty. And he says, Goodman declared that they use, quote, for vaccine opponents. And when he says vaccine opponents, he means people who oppose mandatory vaccination. That counts as a vaccine opponent. Not someone who says we're going to go ban vaccines and mRNA shouldn't be allowed to be injected into your body because it's like a GMO and GMOs are bad, then these got to be even worse. Not those people. If you dare to question mandatory vaccine, you're a vaccine opponent. And he goes, they use, quote, absolutely false, conspiracy-laden arguments and called them, quote, clearly a lost cause, embracing an anti-science and anti-truth ideology with a fervor rarely seen since the advent of the Enlightenment. Well, he needs to talk to Bill Gates. maybe Bill Gates and this Goodman, they need to get together, because I'm sure they're on the same side of the aisle politically.
It's funny though. What I would like for him to give an example of the conspiracy theorists, their ideas, what they said.
Yeah. What is it about the vaccine?
Well, they've said, because conspiracy theorists, it can cause heart disease,
right,
or it can cause myocarditis,
which you have.
You can still get COVID. You can still end up hospitalized, and we know that some people might end up dying even though that they have been vaccinated.
Yes.
So, what is he saying?
I bet you what he'd say is he'd do the typical thing you do with a straw man argument: is you have an opponent, and then you're here, and you use something that's not related to your opponent, but tag them with that, and then call them a conspiracy theorist, thereby debunking their whole argument. So all those arguments you just made, potential side effects, myocarditis, pericarditis, all those things, if you then lump them in to say, and they think it's going to track you, and they think that
and
the
UN
the
magnet. Remember the magnet that people said.
So then what they do is they bring all this stuff in here to discredit your basic argument and say, you're just one of those people. Oh, you think that the vaccine can cause pericarditis, or you think the vaccine doesn't work. You're Bill Gates and you think the vaccine doesn't work. You must also then therefore think that you have a tracker in your body. You're just a conspiracy theorist. And so people don't want to be called that, because they don't want to be seen as Looney Tunes. So they just like, okay, whatever.
Well, what's interesting is he got another vaccine.
Yeah, then he got the booster. But he hedged his bets, because I don't blame him. He says, he goes, this is the lawyer, I believe the positives of the vaccine greatly outweigh the negatives, and that his children are fully vaccinated. Plus, Goodman said he, quote, received a booster shot a few days ago. So far, I'm feeling okay. Instead of an mRNA vaccine, I took the Johnson & Johnson shot, which is a viral vector vaccine associated less with pericarditis.
Yeah. I think he's a brave man.
Bets. He's got what they call brass ones, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Big brass ones.
Yeah, he's brave for sure.
This is funny. This is kind of, well, it is what it is. Here it is. This is from Breitbart. India. 11 times vaxxed man threatens to kill himself if prosecuted. An 84-year-old Indian man who allegedly received 11 doses of Chinese coronavirus vaccines over the past year by using multiple ID cards assigned to him has threatened to commit suicide if prosecuted for misleading the Indian Health Service. This is
I'm surprised he's alive.
The Times of India reported. Well, not only is he alive, this is what he had to say. This is from New York Times Twitter. An 85-year-old retired postman in India says he has gotten 12 COVID vaccine shots and still wants more. He believes the doses healed many of his ailments. Quote, my backache has improved, my general weakness improved, and my appetite improved, he said.
Good
God
for him.
bless him. Yeah. Maybe, it's like when Viagra was first made, it was a drug for angina, or that's what they were developing it for. And then they realized all these guys were walking around like bumping into things. And you're like, what is this? So maybe this will end up with the COVID vaccine is actually like a stimulant for people who need to gain weight and help backache.
Who may be.
They'll be getting mRNA COVID shots so your back feels better and you eat more. Jeez. But yeah, he's going to kill himself if they prosecute him. So they, like I said, this guy should not be forced to not get the vaccine. I'll allow him to get the COVID shot. I mean, 11 times is a little crazy, but
it's a little excessive.
But if he also said he didn't want to get it, I'm okay with that. This is a sad story. Kind of has a happy ending. This is in the Breitbart. And most of everybody saw this, a famous picture of the baby being lifted over the wall after Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan. It says, Sohail Ahmadi, the infant handed over on a barricade to American soldiers during the chaos at Kabul airport in August, in a famous viral photograph, was reunited with his relatives in Kabul on Saturday. So we read about that recently, where you just told me about it. He was missing.
Well, I've been following it, and I did mention to you a couple weeks ago. They still have not found that little baby. So his parents handed him over the wall to soldiers, and they were hoping to be reunited with him within maybe 30 minutes. They needed to get through too, but they were afraid of him
getting crushed.
Yeah, they were afraid he was going to get crushed. So once they got to the other side, their baby was gone.
Awful. Well, it says, according to Reuters, Saloil Ahmadi was only 2 months old when he was handed over the barricades by his parents, who were among the thousands of people desperately attempting to get into Hamid Karzai International Airport to escape from the Taliban advance. Somehow, Sohail wound up lying on the ground at the airport, where his cries were heard by a 29-year-old Kabul taxi driver named Hamid Saifi, who just managed to slip his brother's families past the gates for an evacuation flight. Saifi said he tried to locate the baby's family, and when his efforts were unsuccessful, he took Saloil home with him and his wife and 3 daughters, renaming him Muhammad Abid. After Reuters ran a story about the missing child in November, some of Saifi's neighbors recognized the boy in photos of his newly enlarged family. Saifi posted on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, here's this little baby. I'm just going to take him home.
Yeah.
I wonder how hard he looked.
Well, I don't know. It's probably pretty crazy.
I know. I'm sure it's really chaotic, but military personnel was everywhere.
Well, at least he didn't throw it in the dumpster.
That is true.
Like that.
Yeah. And the baby looks healthy. They took care of him as their son. But then they didn't want to.
They didn't want to at first.
They didn't want to give him back.
They said, what did they say? This is kind of sad. It says, I felt this is the wife. I felt responsible for him like a mother. He used to wake up a lot at night. Now when I wake up, he's not there. It makes me cry. Safi's wife, Famira, said.
Yeah.
Farmah
said. In the end, it's a happy ending.
Yeah, they brought him some stuff. So here's some of the things they got. Rawazi, this is the guy who was. So this is the baby's grandfather was sent to go get the baby. Because his parents are here. His parents are here,
but the rest of his family.
Yeah, so the grandfather was sent. So the grandfather was Rawazi. Rawazi says he traveled 2 days and 2 nights to the capital bearing gifts, including a slaughtered sheep, several pounds of walnuts, and clothing for Safi and his family. So this dude was like backpacking with a sheep, walnuts. And then he gets there, and they're like, "You can't have the baby."
Yeah, we want him. Like, he's our only son.
He's like,
because I think they
had 3 girls then.
Right.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's nice that thank God he's not, something bad happened like that piece of garbage lady who apparently threw her newborn baby into the dumpster. Yes. This is in a state where, like you said, you can go to a fire department and just say, "Here's a baby."
Right, no questions asked.
Nothing.
Right, just leave the baby and go.
But this animal.
Yeah. So, and it turns out there's more to this story than this 18-year-old is originally said. So, she claimed that the day before she delivered, she had found out she was pregnant. So, she didn't know until the day before. And then she gave birth in her parents' bathroom. And then she panicked. And what do you do when you panic? You
throw babies in the garbage can.
Yeah. She wrapped the baby in a bag. And then wrapped the baby in another bag.
It's safer. Double bagging, like when we go to the grocery store.
And then, and then if anyone has seen the video of her throwing the baby.
She tosses it in there like it's garbage.
Yes. So there's nothing loving about it whatsoever. And, of course, some dumpster divers.
Yes, 6 hours later.
Yes, found the baby. The baby was hypothermic. Baby needed a blood transfusion, feeding tube. But it turns out the grandfather of the father has came forth and said,
I want a baby.
We want the baby. She told my son, my 16-year-old son, who's the father, that she miscarried. Yeah. So it was not a secret. She knew she was pregnant. Classmates knew she was pregnant. And so this is premeditated, obviously.
Yeah. Well, there's a happy ending. She was subsequently released the next day on $10,000 bond.
Why not? Of course.
What they'll end up doing is they'll have some type of government program to get her back with her child. So maybe send her some counseling classes, maybe teach her a little bit about, they'll have a first class and they'll be like, your baby, you probably shouldn't throw them in dumpsters, but we can't blame you for that. We understand you're stressed out. Here's some money. Here's some.
I think that very well could be the case if the family was not involved, the father. Yeah. But the grandfather is adamant about getting his grandson. So they've already hired a lawyer.
Yeah.
And this woman should go to prison for attempted murder. Yes. Right now, she's being charged for attempted murder and child endangerment.
My prediction is that few weeks when nobody even knows what happened. This is calm. This is vanished, from the news. Drive-by media is no longer on this. What's going to happen is the DA or whoever's in charge of prosecuting is going to come out and they're going to say, we need to, figure out how to help her. It does her no good to go to prison. She really didn't mean it. She's recanted since then. She actually wants her baby back. She should not go to prison. We'll get her some counseling. She's going to have probation. She's going to be on house arrest at a halfway house and for 6 months. And
yeah, I mean, you hear stories about that all the time where children are abused and they are in foster care for about 6 months, a year, and then they're reunited with their mother or the father, whoever, same person that abused them, and then guess what? They're killed.
I know
their family member kills them. That one little boy,
I forgot where it was, but I don't even like to talk about it. But 2 years old, he was with a family. They took the baby from the family because they wanted to reunite him with his mother, who was a garbage animal, who promptly killed the child because he was crying too much, slamming him against a wall. And then he had a seizure for a prolonged period of time. Then she put him in the woods. And then she says, oh, he's missing.
Yeah.
He's missing.
I don't know about that story. I don't remember. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did because I do follow missing children, and I'm always reading about children missing or children being abused. I don't know why. I just feel like maybe I need to, I want to read about all these kids because maybe we'll recognize, maybe,
yeah,
I don't know, might just recognize a child that's missing. But sometimes the stories are very sad.
But those people, man, that's if you don't think that evil walks the earth, I think those stories have to tell you that evil walks the earth. At the same time, you'll find someone very quickly on social media who will say, it's not that, society did it. If it wasn't for all of the societal pressures that forced them to throw their baby against the wall or throw them in the garbage can, and if we just had a few more government programs, this would have never happened. And that's what we need to focus on, more government programs.
Yeah, I know people think that way. This mother, she quit school in December too. So she quit school in December, I'm sure because
she was like gravid.
Yeah. I mean, she's going to be delivering any time. Sure, she's, having some contractions.
She should have just traveled to New Jersey.
The thing is, she could have went to the hospital, gave birth, and then just left the hospital.
Well, she could have done
with
that.
Her baby.
Or she could have gone to New Jersey, where Phil Murphy's the governor, who either signed or is going to sign legislation that allows abortion up to the time of birth.
Yeah, I know. I didn't read about that.
She could have done that, and then then the baby would have never been born. It would have been a blob of tissue that they would have just executed shortly before the due date.
Now, you probably have to be a resident of New Jersey.
I doubt it. I think they'd make exception. It's probably like getting across the border. You get across the border and you have a baby, boom, you're done. The baby is American citizen. Same thing is probably, you want to come in here and get an abortion, you get an abortion.
Yeah. People probably don't know
How many months are you? 9 months?
People probably, I know a lot of people do know it, but yes, if you are, if you're coming across the border illegally and you are pregnant.
Yes.
And you give birth in the United States, guess what? Your baby is a citizen.
Same thing happens in China and Iran. Interestingly enough, there's a story about some people who went into Iran demanding health care and demanding voting rights, and
we've never seen them since, right?
They were taking it with open arms. Last time we saw them, the mullahs had them, so I'm sure they're fine.
Well, when I worked at the Department of Health, I remember a particular story, and I have, I think I told you about it. The mother who, her husband lived in Mexico. She lived in Mexico. She was a U.S. citizen, but she lived in Mexico.
She would come
with her husband because he was not allowed here in the United States because he was a criminal, and he was not a citizen. And so she would. She was pregnant with her fourth child, so she flat out told me, "I come here and do my pregnancy in the United States." And I give birth to my child in the United States. Mm-hmm. My child is a citizen, and then we go back to Mexico and live.
Yeah.
So she's on Medicaid, and here she was in Florida, and so we paid for everything. taxpayers paid for everything, and then she went back to Mexico and lived.
And she's done it multiple times.
4 times.
Well,
this is just one person, that told me this story.
There used to be a time when you came to the United States to be an American. There used to be a time. And there are people still do that, obviously. A lot of people, too, come to America to get what they can get. They're here to rape and pillage, or metaphorically, whatever they can get. Free stuff, whatever. They actually despise America. People like Ilhan Omar, they hate America. She's here. She's a congresswoman. She hates America. Mm-hmm. She hates America the way it is now. Now, if they could completely destroy it, do a great reset, and have a socialist utopia along the lines of what Pol Pot had, or Mao, or Joseph Stalin, then they'd be cool with that. But as it stands, she and people like her, they hate America. And they came here for what? Just to destroy. Oh, well. This is interesting. This is from Blaze. It says, after getting slapped in the face with reality following massive minimum wage hike, a city council finally gets its act together. If you were an employer in Portland, Maine, you were likely not ringing in the new year with as much gusto as the rest of the country. At 12:01 on January 1, the minimum wage in Portland jumped to $19.50 per hour, up from $12.15 the day before.
That's crazy.
Jesus.
How will small businesses pay?
Well, that's interesting.
Their employees.
Because it says, the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce made its voice heard, telling its members to let City Council know what they thought. Quote, large chains will be able to absorb the cost of a $19.50 minimum wage, but small businesses in Portland will not be able to absorb these costs without direct increases in prices or cuts to services and staff. This strikes directly at our local economic self-reliance and makes it just that much harder for local organizations to compete. A lot of that is true. And the large chains will absorb it because they know that that's an investment. Mm-hmm. That's basically an investment, because it's kind of like during the pandemic. The large chains, did all this COVID mitigation, this, that, and the other, and they were allowed to stay open. And then all these mom and pops went out of business. Right. And then guess what? Their market share increased. Same thing in Portland, Maine. Walmart's probably going to still be running in Portland, Maine.
Oh, I'm sure.
But every other small business that supplies some of the things Walmart does will even further be.
Right. Well, we know Walmart, Target, all, like you said, all these large chains, they stayed open. They had essential employees. And then, yes, the small mom and pop places closed down. My sister was, my sister does marketing for the pizza place, or used to, in Zephyr Hills. And he closed down because of COVID. And she was at Manola's when police came in,
right,
and wanted to make sure that he wasn't open, make sure that
because he was serving food.
Well, and the thing is, it's his business. He was making food for himself.
Yes,
he wasn't serving anyone.
Yeah, he was making
open.
Food for himself plus like a friend.
Well, my sister was there and her husband.
But that was not. Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't. There was no. It was not. I'm going to pay for this food.
Right,
it was just casual.
Yeah,
and they were like, "We're going to fine you."
Oh yeah.
So this is a small business, but that did not happen at Walmart, which is 2 miles down the street from him.
No, it did not happen at Walmart. Didn't happen at Target, Home Depot.
Well, all those businesses did great. Yeah,
they did do great. They actually, I was reading, said the billionaires, whoever they are, probably there's a certain number of them in America, increased their wealth.
Yes,
by $240 billion. Bill
Gates was one of those people they talked about.
Oh yeah, Bill Gates made a lot of money.
He had a bad year.
He said he had a bad year. He said, I'm immune to this. Everybody has a bad year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, watching this show now. Everybody's watching it. Probably we're closing in on the end of it, which is sad. But Yellowstone.
I don't want it to end. Man,
Yellowstone. If y'all haven't seen that, if you're interested in something that's kind of like, I say it's like a cross between Dallas and The Sopranos.
Well, I don't remember. I never watched Dallas.
I didn't either, but I know it's kind of like about Texas and families and feuds and things. So it's like that.
Yeah.
But it's also about sending people to the train station when their time's up.
A lot of people go to the train station.
A lot of people.
I mean, it's a great series.
Kevin Costner's an executive producer. It's written largely by Taylor Sheridan, who is writing this or created with Art Vinson, who is the creator of Sons of Anarchy. And Taylor Sheridan, if you're familiar with the movie Hell or High Water, that's his movie. He did the screenplay. I'm not sure if he directed it, but he did the screenplay.
I have not seen it.
Hell or High Water, we saw it.
We did.
Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner.
Oh,
when they're chasing Bonnie and Clyde.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yellowstone is awesome. It's, like I said, it's like a cross between, to me, like, you know, one of these 80s Western soap operas and The Sopranos.
Yeah, and so Yellowstone, there's 4 seasons, and then I don't know if
Now
there's going to be a 5th
1883.
season.
Oh, yeah.
Will there be a 5th season? I don't know.
This is what I read. I read that they plan on there being 6 seasons.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yes, there's a prequel, which is 1883 with Faith Hill and Tim McGraw.
So the Yellowstone's about the Dutton family, who has this massive Yellowstone ranch in Montana, and the story is it's been in his family for like 6 generations, or I forgot how many generations.
Well, since 1883.
Yeah. So and that's kind of like building during the whole time. He's like saying, I have to protect this. This is my family's legacy. This is my father's dying wish was I'd keep the ranch.
And all 230,000 acres.
Yeah. All these pressures are around them trying to buy up the ranch and convert it, make it into like, you know, Boulder, Colorado.
Wesley Chapel.
Or Wesley Chapel. And, but then they kind of allude to this past about how all this has, you know, been building. And then you go back and they have a few flashbacks with I think it's his great-great-grandfather, maybe even farther back. But anyway, it's played by Tim McGraw.
Yeah,
and
it's 1886, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would have to be Kevin Costner's.
Well, my grandfather's grandfather was in the Civil War. So, if you use those things, Kevin Costner's grandfather's father may have been in 1880s, if you're Kevin Costner's age.
Yeah.
So maybe it's his great-grandfather, or maybe it's his great-great. I don't know. Either way, 1883 is the prequel, which is now available. There's like
3. I think there's 3 episodes.
Yeah, it comes out weekly.
Obviously, still filming, but I can't wait to watch it as well because I like.
Thank God for Yellowstone, because that Dexter season Dexter New Blood. If you guys haven't seen that, if you're a fan of Dexter, don't watch it. There's no reason to watch it.
You have to if you have to if you're a fan of Dexter.
If you won't,
you have to watch it. Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed.
I think this Dexter season, Dexter New Blood, 8 years after the end of the original Dexter, which ended on, people think, a sour note, with him sailing off into the hurricane and then becoming a lumberjack. People thought it was stupid. I think this new Dexter, what it wants to do is make it seem like everything about the old Dexter that you liked was wrong for you to feel like. Because the original Dexter was a serial killer who killed other serial killers. And so you would cheer when he would kill a child rapist. Or you would cheer when he would kill someone who had evaded justice and was a bad person. But now the new Dexter is the reason to have the new Dexters, for them to show you Dexter's still a bad person, because those people all deserve to live. And in the grand scheme of things, in the legal society, yes, they deserve to have a trial, blah, 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 blah. But this is a damn TV show. At least have some...
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely different than the original series.
There was a lot of guilt about it.
Overall, I mean, it was fine. I liked it enough. But there was definitely a lot of dragging out in scenes.
Oh, yeah. They did not have enough to work with, is what happened.
Yeah.
It's like Better Call Saul, like we talked about. Breaking Bad compared to Better Call Saul, they just don't have enough to work with.
Yeah, we gave up on Better Call Saul.
They have like enough story for 5 minutes, and then they make it into 45 minutes. Whereas on like Dexter, the original Dexter, Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Yellowstone, there's so much going on. It's just like 45 minutes is just jammed full of stuff.
Right. When Yellowstone goes off, we're like, it's already over?
Yeah.
And then we're like, we got to do another episode.
Yeah.
I think we did 2 episodes last night, or 3.
2, I think.
2. But so anyway, I feel like if you're a fan of Dexter, you should watch it. It's how many episodes? 8?
You mean
9?
the new Dexter, the new season?
Yeah.
It's 10.
10? Okay.
Dexter New Blood.
Okay.
On Showtime.
So 10, do it.
Well, we did it.
10 hours out of your life.
We got the special $3.99 or $4.99 a month for 3 months, and we used 2 of them, and then we canceled Showtime.
Yeah. But you know what? When I think about it, Dexter, the original series, the ending was terrible.
It was.
Okay, so
when the ending was terrible, I think that ending was better than this ending.
The ending was terrible.
At least.
So I guess you really should, think, well, I don't know. The ending was bad, so this ending was bad,
I think you should just stop watching, probably, if not after season 4, when Rita's killed, after season 5.
It did get a little weird. Which season was it when Deb was having feelings for Dexter? 7. That was weird. After
7,
that episode,
and then 8, both of them.
Yeah.
She found out about him at the end of season 6. The one where they had the religious fanatic people who were doing like the doomsday cult, whatever. That's when he was killing that dude, Colin Hanks. When she saw him, then she's like, damn, he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
That's when she found out. And then the next season, she fell in love with him. Her brother.
That was weird.
But they were actually married at one point in real life.
Yeah.
Which is also just throwing all kinds of different curveballs.
Yeah, they still have a friendly relationship, obviously.
Yeah. I tell you, in this new series, she was just on his butt all the time.
Yeah, she was too aggressive.
Yeah, she was yelling at him.
She's an aggressive personality anyway in the series,
Yeah.
but she was aggressive specifically to Dexter,
right.
Hateful.
Yeah, and if people are watching, how is that? She's dead. Well, you'll have to watch and find out how she's.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you should do it. It's 10 hours, or not even 10 hours, like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I personally don't like the season at all, and I wish it didn't exist. Anyway, well, we'll join you all guys next week. We'll be back with more COVID news. I'm sure this crap ain't going away. And then we'll also be back with probably some more stuff about Yellowstone, because we'll be done with Yellowstone by then. So
Absolutely.
If you want to watch us on YouTube or Rumble, and then also listen to the podcast, and then go to Dr. Tommy, DOCTOR, Tommy.com, and you can join us. And if you're listening out there and you're in the Tampa area and you're just like, geez, I need a new doctor. That doctor sounds like up my alley. Then come on in. We'll have a chat.
We'll treat you like family,
and we'll do our we'll treat you like we treat all of our patients. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.